In the California presidential debate, you said, "Find out what the science truly is before you start putting Americans' jobs in jeopardy." But when the moderators asked you twice for sources you use to reach your views on climate change, you ducked the question. I'd like to ask you a third time.
Great.
What sources of information
I'm ready for you this time.
do you rely on for your views on climate change?
Thank you, Mike. Just within the last couple of weeks, a renowned Nobel laureate who also joined that chorus that is time after time after information becomes available, or they look at all of the data, and they basically say, those that want to take the position that global warming is man's fault and it is incontrovertible, that's not correct. And there are scientists that are standing up all across this country that are saying that. And I just have to say, here's my issue. When you hold on, I got the mic here. You got your question. I'm gonna answer. Just please, and I'll let you have a rebuttal. But a Nobel laureate of some acclaim, who stood and said, "I want to be removed from the role of," I believe it was the Physical Society. And he said that there is not incontrovertible evidence. And here's my point. The climate has been changing for millennium. When we go back, and it's been changing for thousands of years. And for us to take a snapshot in time and say what is going on in this country today, and the climate change that is going on is man's fault, and we need to jeopardize America's economy. I'm a skeptic about that, and I don't think that, I'm not afraid to say that I'm a skeptic about that. Why would I put our children's future in jeopardy on science that frankly is not proven? And just because there is a large number of scientists that stand up and say, oh, it's man's fault and that is that. But we're also seeing scientists standing up and saying, you know what, we're finding problems with the models. We're seeing evidence that this is not, there may be some small part that man is playing in this. And we in Texas have addressed this. You realize that we cleaned up our air in Texas more than any other state, Mike, during the decade of the 2000s?
Yes.
And no, it wasn't the EPA's regulations. As a matter of fact, they've tried to come into Texas after we cleaned up our air and take it over, and what they'll do is just kill a bunch of jobs and won't clean up the air at all. We lowered our ozone levels by 27% during the decade of the 2000s, and we lowered our nitrogen oxide levels by 58%. That's what we need to be working on. So allow the states to be flexible in how they do this, and I will assure you, those of us who actually breathe that air, and our children that breathe that air, will make the right decisions. We don't need a centralized, all-knowing, one-size-fits-all federal government telling us how to run our states, even when it comes to issues important as air quality, because we're doing a good job in Texas. You may rebut.
Thank you, Governor. You're very kind to let me rebut.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
It's been said that climate change is not settled science. You agree with that?
I agree that we should be skeptics about those who say that there is incontrovertible evidence that global man-made warming is happening and it is man's fault.
Even though we could look at other things that are not necessarily such as the link between cancer and smoking. Obviously, that's not settled science either, is it?
I would suggest to you that's pretty settled. I would suggest to you that's pretty settled.
To Social Security, or maybe a portion of what I might be entitled to. Is that what I'm understanding?
No, what I'm saying for someone, if you said you're 55, I'm gonna. Okay, all right, you're holding up well. But I'm 61. I'm on my way. You're obviously people your age, you're planning your retirement, you're thinking about it. That Social Security payment in total is going to be there for you. And any American who is either your age, and I don't know what the right age, the cutoff is, and we can have this conversation with Congress in the U.S. and come up with what that age is. That before that, we're going to have a transitional period. And for the 25 to 36-year-old, we're going to have a new program created for them so that they know that they're going to have a retirement program. For those of us that are approaching Social Security, planning on it, it will be there for us. It's not going to be a percentage of it. It will be there in total. It's guaranteed it will be there. And don't let anybody, Cindy, try to scare you and tell you, oh, you know, this guy's talking about taking your Social Security away. That is an outright and irresponsible statement by anyone who makes it. You may.